When you present your sidearm in a critical, life-altering defensive encounter, the environmental conditions will not pause to accommodate your equipment. Rain, sleet, or debris can obscure an optic window in a fraction of a second. If you press out and find dead glass, or a dot completely washed out by a compromised emitter, the result is catastrophic. We are living in an era where the civilian and law enforcement markets are saturated with commercial-grade electronics masquerading as duty-ready defensive tools. Responsible citizens and sworn officers are unintentionally betting their longevity on fragile circuitry that will inevitably fail under the harsh kinetic realities of recoil and structural impact. You must demand more from the equipment you trust to protect your family. Today, we are analyzing the time-tested, proven pistol optics that have earned their authority through rigorous metallurgical integrity and mechanical perfection. We will examine the internal engineering, the physics of recoil management, and the historical pedigree that separates a reliable defensive tool from a recreational liability. Furthermore, we will reevaluate the current landscape, culminating in a final optic that represents the absolute pinnacle of uncompromising military utility. To appreciate the evolution of modern defensive optics, we must first examine the forged legacy of the open-emitter standard. The Trijicon R HD'd for years. The fundamental problem with slide-mounted electronics was the sheer violence of the recoil cycle. When you attach an optic to a traditional Browning short recoil tilting barrel action, the optic is subjected to massive G-forces as the slide slams rearward and violently returns to battery. Trijicon solved this mechanical problem not with electronics, but with metallurgy and geometry. The RMRHD is machined from a single piece of forged 7075T6 aluminum. Forging, as opposed to extruding or casting, aligns the grain structure of the metal, making it exceptionally resilient. The patented owl ear shape of the housing is a masterclass in structural engineering. It physically diverts the kinetic energy of a drop away from the fragile glass lens and channels it down into the robust steel of the pistol slide. Mounted on a classic duty platform with a standard 402-inch barrel featuring a 1:9/8 twist, stabilizing hollow points at 1,150 feet per second. This optic is a mechanical masterpiece. Weighing just 169 ounces, it offers surgical precision with 0.25 MOA adjustments. Its defining modern upgrade is the forward-facing light sensor, which evaluates the ambient lighting at the target's location rather than the shooter's, automatically adjusting the reticle intensity. This prevents dot washout when firing from a dark interior into a brightly lit street. Relied upon by the United States Marshal Service, its heritage is undeniable. The manufacturer sets the price at $849, but discerning buyers can reliably find it for $650. While the forged open emitter is a proven concept, modern proxy conflicts and harsh duty environments illuminated a critical vulnerability: debris blocking the diode. This operational reality birthed the Holosun 509TX2, fundamentally shifting the paradigm toward enclosed systems. The engineering challenge here was creating a sealed optical vault without adding unacceptable mass to the slide, which could induce feeding malfunctions. The solution was aerospace-grade material. The housing is machined entirely from grade 5 titanium. By utilizing titanium, engineers achieved a phenomenal strength-to-weight ratio, keeping the optic to an incredibly light 172 ounces while enclosing the nitrogen-purged emitter between two panes of glass. This means mud, snow, or lint cannot physically reach the LED. Picture this titanium vault mounted to a duty pistol with a 4-inch cold hammer forged barrel and a 1:10 twist, pushing NATO specification ammunition at 1,180 feet per second. The internal linkages of the 509T are specifically isolated to absorb that cyclic velocity without transferring destructive harmonic resonance to the circuitry. It projects a precise 2 MOA dot surrounded by a 32 MOA circle, providing immediate reticle acquisition under stress. With an MSRP of $505 and a street price around $430, it remains an authoritative choice for austere environments. When we examine the formalized requirements of the United States military, we find an optic engineered not as an aftermarket accessory, but as an integrated component of a dedicated weapon system, the Sauer Romeo M17. The mechanical problem with traditional optics is the reliance on top-down screws, which can shear under shear stress. The Romeo M17 eliminates this by mounting from the bottom up directly into the slide of the M17 and M18 platforms, creating an unbreakable mechanical lock. Holding this 1.5-ounce optic, you immediately recognize its Mil-Spec pedigree. The internal mechanisms utilize beryllium copper flexures for zero adjustments. Beryllium copper is highly resistant to metal fatigue and thermal expansion, ensuring that the 2 MOA dot and 32 MOA reticle hold absolute zero, whether you are in freezing alpine conditions or baking desert heat. It is a fully enclosed, argon-purged unit featuring a proprietary gas-deflecting shield to prevent carbon accumulation on the objective lens. When paired with the military's 4.7-inch barrel and pushing high-pressure M1152 ball ammunition at 1,320 feet per second, this optic performs flawlessly. It is battle-proven and currently deployed with general infantry. The government contract MSRP is $800, but it is routinely acquired on the civilian market for $650. For the armed citizen, the parameters of engagement are drastically different from conventional warfare. In the context of the gray man concept, your primary asset is concealment, which brings us to the Holosun EPS carry. The mechanical issue with carrying a concealed optic inside the waistband is the daily accumulation of clothing lint, sweat, and dead skin, all of which will completely blind an open emitter. The EPS carry provides an enclosed, sealed environment in a package engineered specifically for the modern micro-compact pistol. Machined from structurally reinforced 7075 T6 aluminum, it weighs a mere 10 ounces. Its most significant mechanical advantage is the ultra-low deck height. On short 3.1-inch barreled pistols, which inherently generate snappier recoil impulses while pushing defensive rounds at 1,050 feet per second, this low profile is critical. It frequently allows the shooter to co-witness standard factory iron sights directly through the glass, eliminating the need to modify the host weapon with tall, snag-prone suppressor sights. Depending on your visual preference, it projects either a 2 or 6 MOA dot. It solves the concealed carry debris issue permanently. The factory commands $400, but it can be found for $330 by the savvy collector. Looking toward the European theater of operations, we encounter the Steiner micropistol sight, or MPS. This optic is a reflection of Brutalist German engineering, built to satisfy the uncompromising demands of European counter-terror units. These operators work in dense urban structures in extreme cold, where weapon strikes against door frames and riot shields are a daily reality. To survive this, the MPS utilizes a true enclosed roof-mounted emitter system. By placing the emitter at the top of the heavy-duty aluminum housing, the optic's internal components are protected from being crushed under the weight of external top-down impacts. Weighing 205 ounces, it projects a very crisp 3.3 MOA dot. This optic shines when bolted to a full-size tactical frame running a 4.5-inch barrel, optimized with a 1:9/8 twist for heavy, 147-grain subsonic projectiles at 990 feet per second. The nitrogen-sealed cavity absolutely prevents internal fogging during rapid temperature transitions, a vital feature for localized winter defense. It carries an MSRP of $575, though surplus markets often list it at a competitive $400 flat. Bridging the gap between legacy mounting systems and modern enclosed technology is the Trijicon RCR, or ruggedized closed reflex. For years, shooters wanted an enclosed optic but refused to use weak, stacked adapter plates that raise the height over bore and introduce multiple points of failure. The RCR is a literal fortress of forged aluminum that mounts directly to the industry standard RMR footprint. It accomplishes this through an ingenious, patented capstan screw system that locks the optic laterally to the slide, requiring 0 aftermarket plates. Weighing 1.9/8 ounces, it features multi-coated, broadband anti-reflective lenses projecting a 3.25 MOA dot with 0 distortion across the focal plane. Whether tracking target transitions on a compact frame or a 5-inch competition barrel pushing plus P duty rounds at velocities exceeding 1,200 feet per second. The mechanical tracking is perfect. It is built to outlast the service life of the host firearm. Trijicon lists this mechanical marvel at $849, with a reliable street price of roughly $645. Finally, we arrive at the absolute apex of pistol optic engineering, an optic that embodies the gun sage philosophy of historical reverence and uncompromising reliability. Holding the #1 position is the Aimpoint ACRO 2. Aimpoint essentially birthed the concept of the red dot sight, and the ACRO, respectfully known as the Swedish mailbox, is the distillation of decades of combat experience. There are no aesthetic compromises here. It is pure, cold military utility built for the harshest conditions on Earth. The closed tube design is machined from high-strength aluminum and utilizes incredibly thick, sacrificial panes of tempered glass at front and rear. This completely isolates the internal LED from the environment. Weighing 21 ounces and projecting a sharp 3.5 MOA dot, it was engineered to withstand the extreme cyclic mass of heavy, offensive handguns running suppressed 5-inch threaded barrels at subsonic velocities. The internal electronics have been painstakingly upgraded to deliver a continuous battery life of 50,000 hours on a single CRR 2032 battery, defying extreme temperature fluctuations. The ACRO-P2 routinely survives direct concussive impacts and explosive blasts that would reduce lesser optics to shattered glass and exposed wire. It is the definitive duty optic, universally adopted by specialized military units worldwide. The official MSRP is $699, and due to immense professional demand, the street price is a rigid $599. When you strip away the marketing hype, your survival depends entirely on metallurgical integrity, proven mechanical design, and a track record written in real-world application. Your primary optic is the vital bridge between your situational awareness and your ability to project lethal force to protect your life and your family. Never compromise on your primary sight. The best defensive tool is the one you can trust with absolute certainty. I invite the veterans, law enforcement officers, and mechanical purists in our audience to share your operational experiences with these platforms in the comments. Your ground truth data is invaluable to this community. Stay sharp, remain vigilant, and I will see you on the next evaluation.